Hey, ambitious dentist, welcome to Start Your Dental Practice, the show for existing and aspiring dentists to take your dental practice to the highest possible level. I'm your host, Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV, founder of dentistmetrics.com. In every episode, we aim to demystify the how to start a dental practice problem by bringing on world-class dentists, influencers, and consultants in the dental industry to pick their brain about how to get past the barriers involved from going from no practice to being a practice owner to owning your own successful dental practice. Everyone has their own reason for wanting to build a successful dental practice, and ultimately that reason's what keeps you pushing through, even when the times get tough. Some days you'll be on top of the world, and others you'll be thinking about throwing in the towel. But as they say, the journey is what makes things worth it in the end. And so today, I'm really excited to share another conversation I had at the Voices of Dentistry event with Dr. Peter Boulden, host of the BulletProof Dental Podcast and owner of a couple successful practices in Atlanta, Georgia. Peter's cracked the code on what it takes to build a successful practice, and his optimistic attitude is absolutely contagious. In our conversation, we talk about how to stay focused and the best tips and strategies to take your practice to the next level. In our conversation, you'll hear about how Peter discovered about embezzlement in his practice and what he did to recover, the power of setting ambitious goals and why you need to think big, how to deal with naysayers, especially your family and friends, why you should embrace your mistakes and not hide from them, what Dr. Boulden would do differently if he had to start over today, and how to know if you're ready to become a practice owner, and much, much more. And at the end of the episode, you'll also learn how to get my latest guide, 5 ways to get more out of your next dental convention. So since I've released it just a few weeks ago, I've received a lot of really great feedback, and it might just be exactly what you need to make your next conference your best one yet. So be sure to listen all the way through this entire interview to get access to that. And now, here's my interview with Dr. Peter Boulden. Hello, ambitious dentist. I am still here in Nashville with the Voices of Dentistry Podcast Summit. We are blessed to be able to have with us Dr. Peter Boulden of the BulletProof Dental Practice Podcast, as well as a owner of a very successful dental practice, 2 dental practices actually, in Atlanta, Georgia, the Atlanta Dental Spa. So how's it going today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Enjoying the
I am. It's pretty wild to be here, honestly. You know, I was sitting there talking to someone about what are the chances I was at a conference that's so niche, right? Not only a podcast conference, but a dental podcast conference, which is, but it's cool, man. I've connected with a lot of folks I haven't seen in a while, and picked up a lot of pearls along the way. So it's definitely been valuable. And I was able to actually just drive up from Atlanta, so it wasn't, total. So yeah.
So tell us about your practices. Tell us about the how things have gone for you.
Okay.
You've got a unique story that you're trying. You got some pretty hefty goals that
a
lot of people don't even that doesn't even enter their radar. So do you mind sharing some of that, or?
Yeah. So I started a fee-for-service practice probably in 2004. Against all odds, and everyone said, you're going to fail. And I'll put it right here. Everyone said, don't do that, you're going to fail. So I went through the same struggles that everyone did in 2008 and 2009. And really, I was just committed to kind of growing at that point. I figured I went all in. I actually went all in right around the recession of 2008 and 2009, which may not have been the wisest idea. But since then, we've grown, and I'm going on the 4th location. And it's been a great journey, ups and downs and highs and lows, but it's been, I've established a fantastic team, fantastic docs, and it's just, the culture, in my opinion, is irreplaceable, and that's been, I think, the biggest, contributor to the success of the practice.
Great. So, whenever you got started out, so did you know the day you got out of school, okay, it's time to go get a practice, or did you wait a few years?
No, I was an associate, actually. So my backstory there is I laser focused on the practice that I wanted to be at. Unfortunately, she didn't really want to hire me at the time because she was like, you're coming right out of school. But I'm born and raised from Atlanta. I knew I wanted to go back to Atlanta. And so my story there is I basically didn't give her an option to not hire me. I said, I had student debt just like everyone else. And I said, well, I'll work for free for 3 months. If you don't see the value in me, then let me go. And she, being so blown away by that, she was like, what? Okay. Like, how can I not say yes to that?
I guess that means that I'll be hiring you.
Right. So, I'll take free help, right? Yeah. And it wasn't actually free help. She ended up paying me. But, I mean, the point is that, I got my feet wet in a great practice, someone else's great practice, which then I learned things I wanted to do and things I didn't want to do going forward. And I realized that wasn't the place for me, and I ultimately needed to be the chief of my own destiny, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just, wanted to do my own thing, and I knew that it was that was just my vision. I had to do it, and so I jumped in with both feet. And at the time I didn't have a wife or kids, and I was able to, go 100% all in, because like, what was worse that was going to happen? I was going to go bankrupt. Okay, I'll start again, right? Yeah. Like so. Now I have 3 kids and a wife, and probably I wouldn't be in that same situation of just reckless, like, let me do it.
I think the kids need to eat.
Yeah, they kind of need to eat, right?
Yeah,
so that's kind of, my story. And, I love dentistry. I love the business of dentistry. I have a podcast that really talks about both of those, the systems and marketing to kind of make that's the name, the Bulletproof practice, is because I really believe that you can insulate your practice in any economy through two pillars of success, which are systems of your clinical systems, administration systems, your business systems, and then your marketing of that supports it. And so, I kind of apply the same principles that I talk about every day in our trajectory of growth. And, like I alluded to when we first started talking, I want to have a practice that, is a $10 million network. Mm-hmm. Not for any reason other than not because I want to make a bunch more money. I mean, that's a cool byproduct, but really, to me, it's a scorecard. Right. And it's a legacy of what I can kind of create. And I think it's a neat scorecard, because I believe we bring a ton of impact and value to our patients, which is why we have a popular practice. Mm-hmm. Right. And so my vision and my impact in the world is really extend that blessing, so to speak, on as many patients as I can.
Sure.
And so that's my scorecard, so to speak.
So to get to $10 million, like, what is your $10 million? Is that 2 giant practices, or is that?
It doesn't really, I don't care really how I get there. I actually like the multiple locations, whereas some people like the consolidation. I like the multiple. I think it diversifies me a little bit more.
Get more people around, have more populations to pull from.
Yeah, it's just better. To me, it's about distribution, and I think distribution is key in any kind of business arena. And so I like to not just have all my eggs in, let's say, one neighborhood of Atlanta, because who knows what's going to happen in that neighborhood, right? And if I live and die by the success of that quote unquote neighborhood, or area of town, let's say a corporation leaves or something, right? Then my success might be predicated on that micro economy in that area. And one of my other reasons that I like multiple locations is I like the real estate associated with dentistry. I have a number of buildings with my practices, and to me, it's what fires me up. I like that aspect of it. I like because it's an insulated investment for me.
Guys, we are in a room with about 40 people that are doing podcasts, so there may be some overlap in the background, but hopefully our editors can help us out with that. So tell me about, so you've got these business systems to make a bulletproof dental practice, and let me guess, you had all of these from day one in your first practice.
Yeah, right. It's through making millions of dollars and millions of many years of mistakes and millions of dollars of mistakes, and and I think that's the biggest accelerated learning process is by learning by fire, and and you get your ass kicked sometimes, and you learn real quick what to do.
Yeah, there's an one of my favorite Winston Churchill quotes is, if you find yourself walking through hell, keep walking.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Because what choice do you have?
I'm just going to hang out here for a while.
It's so one day at a time. And, it's, I've had some crazy things. I mean, I've had crazy embezzlement. I've had, all the things that plagued me have plagued other people, and you hear about it in dentistry. But, like you said, you just keep going because you have no choice. Well, I mean, I guess you have a choice. You can quit, but it's what I feel like I was destined to do.
Yeah. So tell me, what is the biggest thing that if you could, wave a magic wand and go back that now? What was the biggest thing when you were getting started with coming into to practice ownership that you would redo or get off on a better foot on?
Like in hindsight, what would I do to keep to make a better trajectory of one that didn't have ups and downs? I would have focused more on the business side, learning that, trying to get my own kind of MBA. I'm not saying I would go get an MBA, but I would, as Mark Costas calls it, like YouTube University. And there's so many things that you can learn just to kind of get your infrastructure tight from a business standpoint. I think I led a pretty financially sloppy practice for a while. So much so that, like I said, I alluded to the fact that I got embezzled from. I thought that new patients and top line revenue would cure everything. And, maybe that's the case, but, it's sure hell of a lot harder way to make a living,
Yes. Tell me how you found out about the embezzlement. What was the hand in the cookie jar moment? I
was looking at the number of checks that were written, to this certain little, like, mini lab. Like we had a, so number one, some of the issue fell on the bank, and I didn't know that my office manager at the time was writing checks and was actually and our bank was actually allowing that to happen, which wasn't an authorized signer. But yet the bank, when they were notified of that, they kind of were like, well, we're pretty much off the hook because here's our bank clause that lets us out of this, right?
Yeah. She's an authorized signer, so that means it's her money,
right? Yeah, and so, but basically, there was too much. Once I started kind of looking at stuff, there was too much going to just a night guard lab, like with these big checks, and I was like, what? And all of a sudden I looked at where they were being deposited, and they were going to, like, the one had a stamp from the deposit of the legit bank, and one was just being signed on the back. And so that was one of the
So you actually caught it. No one brought your attention about that.
Yeah.
Good. So having more financial acumen would be one thing, and wow, what a great place to do that is in the podcast sphere of being able to have so much information out there. Right?
Totally. And it's all free. That's the crazy thing. It's, most of it's, well, I guess all of it. I mean, I don't know if all of it's free or not, but like what I've encountered is even outside of dentistry, the knowledge that you can consume and the action items that people give you and the recipes that people tell you how to do, it's like, it's just a no-brainer. It's up to you to kind of execute on that.
So tell me about when someone is ready, because that's the real question that I get probably the most is, how do I know I'm ready to become a practice owner? Dentist out of school. I've got people that are like Dr. Hunter Smith is in Jonesboro, Arkansas. He's pretty close to us. We're friends. He's 29. He's got 6 practices, and he bought his first one within 3 months of being out of school. And he got another 5 and 18 months or something like that. So he just trailed. He didn't care what anyone said. He was just going to own it. And then I have people that have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years of experience, and they just say, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I don't know when I'm going to be ready.
And, I think that's great, because I think having that self-awareness of knowing that you don't really want to be an owner. Like, some people really just want to do the dentistry and don't want to worry about that. And I think that's where a lot of, you hear a lot of job dissatisfaction in dentistry is that, we were trained to do a craft, and no one kind of said, like, oh, by the way, the most of your job is going to be dependent on how well you can run the business, not how well you can prep this crown. And so I think that it's this dichotomy of, we kind of are struggling kind of with the craft plus the business. So if you know that, like, your passion is that you just love clinical dentistry and you want to focus all of your heart and desire on that, then there are probably plenty of practices that you can just go do your craft, go home, and not worry about the business side, because it's a 24-hour worry. It's a 24-hour concern. You're never off the clock when you own a business.
Sure.
Right? And so, maybe that's a quality of life issue for some. So I think just being self-aware and knowing that, knowing what all it entangles and listening to all the struggles of business owners and saying, like, hey, if you want to step up and do that, then cool. The fruit is sometimes good at the end of the limb. But if you just love to do your craft and really, what you signed up for was to be a clinical dentist, then don't own. Like, do your dentistry, find somewhere that's going to reward you for that, and don't own the practice. Because you can make a great living either aspects.
Great. So as far as what about the people that say they do want to own a practice, and they just don't know when they're going to be able to own the practice? Like they always feel like I need to know more about this, or I need to be able to do this, or I need to be able to do this. I mean, is there a time frame that you say you're ready and you're not ready, or is that all?
No, I think if you know if that's what's in your path, I say just go for it, because like you're never gonna know. It's like when people talk about, oh, we think we're gonna have children here, or we're gonna get a puppy here, or whatever. Like there's never a good time, and you can talk yourself out. The fear aspect of your life will talk you out of it every time. So until you just kind of live abundantly and forget about the scarcity and just say, I'm all in, I trust myself, I'm gonna do it. Like, just go for it. If you know that ultimately is in your trajectory, like, what are you waiting for?
Stars won't align for you, so
and like the problems that you're afraid that you're going to have before you're prepared, or you're still going to have when when you're not prepared, you're still going to have when you feel like you are prepared, right? And so, like, just go for it is what I would say.
We were talking, I was talking with a consultant last night. He's like, we have this guy. He's an amazing clinician. He's a staple of his community. He's been there for 15 years. It's a small town. And he's like, he's only making, he had no clue how much money he'd be making, but he felt like he was being just torn financially into pieces. And he was making, sub $100,000 a year as an associate at this place. And he was trying to figure out, am I ready? He still didn't know, like, am I ready yet to own a practice? Because all of these complexities around the business side of things. And so, again, like you said, now it's so much easier to be able to learn some of the business stuff. And, well, it's also easier to be a business owner now than it was whenever you got started back in 2002, I would say. Just with technology, because, I mean, I'm sure you remember how difficult payroll was probably to run back then. Nowadays, you can have, like, a software that can, like, if you got 10 employees, you can pay $70 a month. Yep. And it just does everything for you. Yep. And you don't have to worry about, like, the logistics of sending back and forth numbers to your CPA and having to print off payroll tax stubs and having to print off checks, sit down and sign checks, and all these things. It's just all automatically done. All these conveniences that are out there now that are from the business side of things, a lot of people didn't have it. I mean, to be frank, I tell my employees whenever they complain about, this thing doesn't work in the accounting, whatever it is, it's like, you guys don't even know, like 5 years ago in this world, this was much more difficult for business owners and accounting firms as well. So, yeah.
And the software too. Like, and even like our patient management software keeps just advancing and moving the ball forward. And, you can get good, if you can get good at identifying trends that playing like dental CSI, you can, and you like to analyze those reports, because they'll give you all the data you want, but you got to know what you're looking for in order to find, in order to plug the holes in your ship. And I think that's sometimes where the problem is people don't know where to look, for issues that are going on.
So tell me this. Okay. So we talked about getting into practice ownership. Most people have aspirations of getting to like the $1 to $1.5 million a year practice. That's where a lot of people think that their heads can go to. That's their capacity. How do you have the balls to go, okay, I'm going to go to $10 million, like, and be able to say, I'm going to be able to figure that out? Because I've got so many people that say, there's no way I'm ever going to break $1 million. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to break something else. How do you get a high performing practice to even come into your realm of existence to be able to think about how to do it?
So you're saying that the mental space stops around 1 million, 1.5?
It's how do you get, if you had someone sitting here that was in that mindset, I assume that's how most people think at the beginning. How do you get them out of that? Because me being an entrepreneur, I was like, just take it to the top, just make everything great and have big dreams and big aspirations. But most people are just like, well, I'm so busy at $900,000 a year in revenue that I don't ever want to be any busy.
Yeah. Okay. So so you have to kind of shift it's a paradigm shift from going kind of a linear exchange of time versus money to getting on people that can help you expand that scale. And you are not going to get there by yourself. Like I don't sit here and say that I'm a self-made man and I did it all myself. I did not. I had tremendous help along the way. I have a tremendous team currently in place that is aligned with my vision, that benefits from that vision. Right. And so you just have to think abundantly and say there's no, I was talking to a bunch of dental students last night and I said, in dental school, they kind of beat you up and say, well, here's what you're making, here's what you'll do, and here's what your job will look like, here's what your life. And I said, it's all bullshit. There's no limit. There's no ceiling. There's no rules. Get the diploma and create your life from a reverse engineered standpoint, meaning what does it look like way when you're done your practice, and then just go backwards from there and fill in the pieces. And to me, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it's just thinking more abundantly. And that was a paradigm shift for me, is just knowing that like, there's no rules. And honestly, when I saw someone else do it, that was the game changer for me, because I looked at them and I said, what do they have on me? Like, I've heard of these big, unicorn practices and stuff, and I was like, well, if it's been done before, I can do it. Right. And that was really it. That's all I needed to do. And so I kind of figured out, just kind of did some research on how you do that, and right, how you go next level, and then how you go next level again. And like I said, I still am currently learning and making mistakes, but it's a fun quest. And if I fall short of my goals, then, it's probably still going to be a quote unquote success for me.
So step one, get your mind right to where it is possible. There are no rules. In business, if you can figure out how to do it, then you're allowed to do it. As long as there's no ethical things going on if you're shipping patients down to Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
So also getting the way you're doing it as tight as possible, meaning that if you're going to grow, then you're going to have to scale. And when you scale, you have to make sure that all of your systems are tight. You also don't want to try and I think sometimes people try and expand before they're ready. So, you want to get super tight. You want to make sure your revenue, you're not your revenue. You want to make sure your overhead is at a reproducible, 60% or less, better, so you're not just kind of running wild and then saying, oh, let's just expand, because you're going to expand the problem as opposed to expanding what you want.
So is there a certain day that you came into the practice and said, okay, everything is set and being perfect, and now it's time for me to open up the second location?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, there was never like this day I was like, bing, hit it, perfection. No, but absolutely not.
I came in, it's time to open up the second location.
I think there was just more of an evolution of confidence that, like, once I kind of, maybe I too had those mental blocks of like, oh, we hit $1 million. Oh, wow, we did this. Oh, I tweaked this. And it was just kind of like these roadblocks kept being removed. And I figured out that I was the big roadblock. All right. And so, it's a journey, but I think a lot of it is mental. But you do have to get your house in order, is what I tell people. Get your house in order before you try and build a bigger house, whether that's more locations or another house. Or a bigger house rather.
Sure.
Right.
So with the 2 location spot, there was someone I don't recall who was talking yesterday about with 2 locations. A lot of people will go and split time at those 2 places, and they're typically the biggest producer. And so what happens is they split time, and then their efforts are circular. So are you of that mindset? Do you feel like you should stay in you should go to both locations?
I do go to all 3.
Okay.
Right. And so I do, because but I also work 9 days clinically a month. When people hear that, they're like, oh, wow, really? But what I tell them is, like, I work 20 days business, the rest of it, right? Because I'm running a business. So it's kind of like the E-Myth says, I work on my business every minute that I'm not working in my business. I'm still clinical because a lot of people expect to see me when they come in.
Sure.
Right? But did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm really a big advocate of kind of, the E-Myth methodology, and that you have to work on your business more so even than working in it, because that's the true way that you can kind of scale and grow.
And how do people that are, so, the startup people, they got tons of time at the beginning, right? But a lot of people come in through acquisition, and they get sucked into this world of clinical. I'm working trying to produce money because everyone says that's the way I make money is I produce. And how do people get that time and get the ability to actually start working on the business? Because what I see happen a lot of the times, it seems like, is they can figure out what's wrong. They can't execute and figure out how to fix it and actually make the things change in front of them. Is that a people problem, a process problem, a leadership problem? Like how?
I think yes, it's all those. Unfortunately, but I hear what you're saying is that they kind of bump up against, like, they're at the top of their bandwidth of what they can physically do. Like, I can't grow this because everything's predicated on what I do with my own 2 hands. So at that point, you have to take the leap of faith and either bring someone else to help you. Like I was saying, I didn't get here by myself. I don't produce all that. I don't produce those numbers of dentistry by myself. I have awesome hygienists. I have awesome docs with me, and so It's totally.
And how do you find those people?
Yeah, I mean, that is tough.
Yeah.
It is tough to find them. But, I think number one is I established a good culture a long time ago, and people have found a way to gravitate towards that culture, the good people, whether that's even my business team, which is, on point. Hygienist. So I think if you, establishing that culture, standing for stuff that you really, and not deviating from that culture or vision, and the right people eventually come along. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you get one good person, they know another good person. And so I think it's just kind of a cool network connection. But, one of the biggest impediments to growth is good people, for sure.
So did you acquire all of your practices,
No.
or did you just start up on all of them?
I acquired one that's outside my brand, but my main brand, Dental Spa, was a startup, scratch fee for service startup.
Do you feel like the people that do the acquisitions have a harder time with this, just because of the fact that it seems like with what they were saying earlier, the Newton's law of physics is body in motion stays in motion,
Mm-hmm.
and it's much harder to deviate people off of what has been going on in practice for a long time, from the patient perspective, from the employee perspective, from the just the logistics perspective. Do you think that the acquisitions have a harder time than startup practices do in building that culture?
I think, yeah. I mean, so I do have experience with the acquisition and buying something that was kind of a lower performing practice and then converting it to something, on that scale, which was much, much better, right? So, yes, I agree with what you're saying that it's a little bit harder time. Is it impossible? No. It may be, there may be more bumps along the road, but in exchange for those bumps, you get cash flow.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Pretty good return. Pretty good exchange.
Right? Like you get a little bit more of a security net because especially if you're buying an underperforming practice and you've identified what is an underperforming practice, you know that you're probably not going to go in there and decrease revenue. So you can bank on the fact that you have this much cash flow per month,
mm-hmm.
right? So you're kind of looking for the upside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought with him.
No, you're talking about acquisition things. Yeah, we got T-Bone in the background, not just speaking. He's almost yelling.
But yeah, I think it's harder, but it's also, I think if you can, I think what's crucial is meeting the team if you acquire a practice, meeting the team and make sure that they, you get a chance to talk to them because they're going to be the ones running that ship. And it's about a people issue. And if they're not amenable to change, then I think that is part of your due diligence in your acquisition. If you can just tell that there's people who've been there 30 years and they are not changing for you, then that may be kind of a telltale sign that, you may just buy this and flatline it. And if you're buying it for that, then okay, maybe that works for you. But that's not what the purpose of an acquisition, in my opinion, is. You're trying to make something better than what you created, than what you acquired. So I think too, that's a value proposition in that the people that the new team, let's just say in the acquisition, have to have a lot of confidence in you real quick that you're going to make their life better, mm-hmm. right? Whether that's bonuses or job security or whatever. If they can see that you are a good leader and they see the value in you acquiring the practice, then yeah, they will follow you because it's in their best interest to do so. But if you come in and start making all these changes that are just either not logical to them or they don't see the team benefited way that it's gonna happen, then yeah, I think you're gonna have some struggle. Because why change if there's nothing in it for me, so to speak. And I'm not saying just money. I'm not saying change their salary. I'm saying find a way to invest in them the same way that you're investing in the practice.
So with that mindset, would you be more likely to do an acquisition today, or would you be more likely to do a startup?
I would do either one. Either one.
What opportunity was?
Yeah,
was
I'm looking for another acquisition, and I'm definitely still wanting to expand my core brand. Mm-hmm. So, which are I guess technically aren't startups, but they're brand extensions. So I guess you're asking me the question for someone else out there, just a regular start.
Yeah, for someone out there that is. I'm not really sure. The way I tell people to do it is they have to look introspectively a bit into this of am I someone who likes to tweak and optimize and I don't mind having people try and do things differently and testing things, mm-hmm. or am I a person that likes to build things from the ground up and do things on their own? And I tell people typically that's kind of a starting point of, should it be acquisition or should it be startup? And I also say it also depends on what's
yep.
out there and available, because yep. sometimes there's just a bunch of crud.
Yep.
Sometimes there's a bunch of really good things. It just depends on the world, the area that you're in.
It boils down to it's more risk, more reward. So if it's more risky to do a startup, in my opinion, because especially if you've never done it before, because you got to make sure you have the chops to do it, and it's more risk. You're going to be investing, a large amount of money in something that, might not work out well for you. I don't know. I mean, chances are in dentistry it's going to work out because we have a pretty good success rate. The failure rate, the default rate on loans is like less than 1%, which is why banks love to give dentists money. But I think that you need to really be honest with yourself and say, like, do you want to take the risk for potentially the bigger reward of having your own created practice exactly the way you want it, or do you want to take the safety net of something that's going to maybe take a little more work to kind of shine that diamond a little bit more the way you want it? And it may never be exactly the way you wanted to create it, but at least it was a good compromise, meaning, going back to the cash flow, and it's an established business and it has history and it has, 10 years of P&Ls and all those things. Those things have value to people as well. So I think personally, if I was starting out, again, I don't know if I would do a startup, quite honestly.
Interesting.
Just because, just because I see the value in acquisitions, I think it's an easier trajectory.
Now that you understand the processes, it's not as hard for you to be able to right that ship.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work, and especially if you're not, very versed in the age of digital marketing, and if that's not your forte, then and how are you gonna generate patient base?
Sure.
I mean, because you don't want to do it just by being on all the insurance plans of the cheapest guy in town. Like you're going to work your ass off, and not being able to deliver the best care and stuff like that because you're just on this treadmill. So, I think an acquisition and finding one that you're like, all right, this is a good practice. It's a fair price. I see the vision of where this could go, and that's probably what I would do at this point in my life.
Very cool.
But I'm in a much different place now than I was way back when. Back when I was, 25 and full of piss and vinegar, and I was like, I'll do anything, right? Because I could put in 20-hour days, and I could just go balls to walls because I didn't have any responsibilities outside of work that were keeping me. I didn't have family, didn't have wife, and all that stuff. So, so maybe I say that now because I realize my time constraints, and I think that's probably influencing my opinion to you right now.
Yeah. I was asked to go out with Dr. Costas and Dr. Malloy last night at 11 o'clock. They started at 5 o'clock for most of us yesterday. And at 11 o'clock, they asked me to go out to with them. I said, I've got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. There's an opportunity to go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep today.
I said the same. Yeah. I said the exact same. I was like, I was talking to Brady Frank, and he's like, come to dinner with us. So I said, Brady, it's a rare opportunity that I have nothing to do in the evening. No one's looking for me to, put them to bed or all that stuff. I was like, I'm going to go to bed. And I did. I think I logged in like 10 hours sleep last night. So, and it was awesome.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty good to be able to have sleep. I feel bad for my wife at home with the kids. She doesn't listen to the podcast, so I can say that with that. I can tell her that little secret. So tell me about this. Okay. And, whenever you get that second practice up and going, a lot of people have problems with hiring their first associate. It's the first time they've ever actually had to deal with having someone who is, medically trained equivalently, maybe not been in practice as long or been in business as long. Sometimes they are. Sometimes you have like a senior associate that comes in, right? How does that process work for you? How do you find the right associate for you? Is it easy as saying, are they willing to produce $5,000 a day or $10,000 a day or whatever goal you give them? Or is it just more along the lines of, okay, they're, good clinically, or is it just a mix?
I don't think there's a right answer there to finding the right person. Some people have had great luck with hiring new grads right out of school. We all had our start once, and I gave you my story how I kind of started. So I'm not opposed to that, but I think that there's no back history. If you're looking for someone who's going to say, I want someone to come in and produce $500,000 a year, you have, but with a new grad, you have no statistical evidence that can happen. Mm-hmm. So, but if you're okay with the fact of kind of just taking someone under your wing and kind of cultivating that relationship for the fact that they may be an ultimate partner one day, I think that's the first way you need to get an associate. If you have no business in selling a piece of your practice to someone, then I think that may be a conflict of interest, because the A players, in my opinion, want a piece of ownership.
I agree completely. Yeah.
And, I did, right? And so I think that if you want the best, you got to be willing to give up a piece of the kingdom.
That's awesome. So how do you, we started the conversation about headspace and understanding, yourself, understanding that there are no rules outside of obviously ethical and medical guidelines. How do you get the associate to understand that? Because I find that a lot of associates have the same problems as practice owners do of, I am never going to be able to produce this much. I'm never going to be able to sell this much. I'm never going to be able to do A, B, C, D, F, G, or, whatever it is. Do you try and create an environment for them where they can do that? Do you try and train them to be able to see things in the way that you see them?
Absolutely.
How does that work?
Yeah, and yes, and I think that's it's a funny thing. If you tell yourself you can't do something, it's totally going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't produce that. Well, guess what? You're not going to produce that. Like, hands down. So I think that's probably the first, just toxic problem right there, but I mean, obviously within reason, you have to kind of be real at the same time, but you can't say, I'm saying I can't do that because you don't know yet. You don't know if you can or can't. But I would always err on the side of the fact that you could do that, right? So I would invest in, advice for a new grad. I gave some guys here last night because ironically there's a lot of students here, at this conference. And I said that, I know you have massive debt at this point, but the second you get out of school, invest in doing some clinical courses because you're quote unquote prepared to practice on people, but you're not really, and
prepared but not experienced.
Yeah, and everyone's that way. I was that way. I mean, so you find an environment, whether that's obviously more courses and more tuition and more things like that, but do some continuums, some hands-on continuums to get you awesome in an area. And my advice to them was, and find out what you love to do, and then laser focus on that in your career and market towards that and just kind of own that space and become, maybe your authority in that area. And I think that's the fastest way to excel as being a young dentist is finding that niche, and that niche in general dentistry. I don't mean going and specializing. I mean finding your niche and actually putting your foot down and saying, I'm going to be awesome at this because I love this. Mm-hmm. And that will be a huge quality of life factor for you going forward. If you're in an environment where you hate root canals and doing endo and anterior endo, and that's all you seem to be doing in your practice, your life's going to suck, because you hate it, right? Mm-hmm. You find what you like to do, and and things, and once you start kind of resonating that out there, the fact that you like doing it, more of it shows up. It's kind of funny.
It is. Well, this has been really interesting. If someone is more interested in your story and about your practices and what all you do, what's a good way for them to be able to find out more?
So just really my email is probably the easiest and fastest way, is just Peter Boulden, PeterBoulden @gmail.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me. That goes right. That's the email that goes right to me.
And I'm assuming the podcast is on iTunes and all the places you find the podcast.
Yep. It's on. I think it's just on iTunes. I don't know if it's distributed or syndicated from there. I don't know. I'm not experienced in podcasting as
you're like me, and you send it to somebody else, and they put it out there for you. And
totally. I've outsourced the production, and I don't have the bandwidth in my day to do it. But I enjoy the aspect of giving back to our industry and our profession. I think it's valuable, and I've gotten so much. I said this kind of in my opening statement in the podcast, is that I've gotten so much value from podcasting, listening to podcasts, whether that was in dentistry or just outside of dentistry, that I said, it was incumbent upon me to want to try and return some value of the little things that I felt like I could contribute.
It's amazing how fast you learn things too.
Oh my God. And that's the best benefit. My wife, I think, said, well, why are you podcasting? Because you don't have enough to do already? Really? You're going to start a podcast? And at the time, I didn't know, you always want to start something knowing what the end goal is. And yes, I just talked about kind of the altruism of giving back and contributing to that space. But what I learned later is that I was telling someone last night that the super benefit for me is that it keeps me accountable. I get to talk to all these awesome guests, download get all this information from them, and it keeps me accountable in my own practice. So I think that my team and my family is benefiting from it as well, having the podcast, but even just listening to, so I think they serve a lot more value than people know. And like we said, it's in this age right now where people are totally transparent with their secrets. I didn't hold back anything, right? Yeah. And a lot of guys do that. And I think that's just super cool. That didn't exist 10 years ago, where people were like, here's my recipe for my whatever I did, right? That's just awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. If the people out there, if you're listening, you can execute. If you go out there and do it, it's there for you.
Yeah.
The information is not the missing piece.
No, it's the execution.
It's totally. The execution. Right. Absolutely. So, okay. Dr. Peter Boulden, BulletProof Dental Practice Podcast. Go check it out on iTunes. 5-star review coming up your way, buddy. So, been a pleasure getting
Yeah,
to
it
meet
was
you.
awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
A special thanks to Peter for sharing his insights and strategies on how to build a thriving and profitable practice. It's not always easy, but doing the hard things today will set you up for a rewarding future down the road. As a bonus for today, I've put together how I get the most out of conferences and 5 ways that you can do the same. If you haven't already had a chance to read it, I know you'll get a ton of value out of it. To get that bonus, simply text PRACTICE to 33444. Again, that's PRACTICE to 33444, or visit startyourdentalpractice.com/bonus if you're outside of the U.S. You'll also receive updates on the latest episodes of Start Your Dental Practice, helpful tips for owning and running a practice, and promotional opportunities direct to your inbox. So that's it for today's episode, but that doesn't mean that the learning and implementation have to stop there. I've created a free report called The 15 Numbers That Will Make or Break Your Dental Practice. This report has been downloaded over 1,000 times by dental professionals. So if you want your free copy of this report that's going to outline what the most important numbers are in any dental practice, and it also includes how to look at your numbers, how to set goals, has a whole slew of really important information that is the culmination of all of my experience as a dental CPA, then just go to startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. That is startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. And so that's it for today, Ambitious Dentist. Again, I'm Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV. I'll see you next week with another world-class practice owner or consultant that will help you start your very own dental practice. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Start Your Dental Practice community. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor and go to startyourdentalpractice.com/iTunes to leave your honest feedback and review on iTunes. It's going to help me create a better experience, a better show, a better podcast for you, the ambitious dentist. Your feedback really does help, regardless if you like the show today or not. If you didn't like the show, let me know, because it's going to help me create a better show and podcast for you. Lastly, if you know of anybody that would benefit from today's episode and today's content, today's guest, please feel free to share with them on social media or through email.